Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. And today I want to share with you guys another fantastic goodie but cheapy fragrance. If you guys haven't watched me for a while, you guys know I review all kinds of different things on the channel. But one of my passion is fragrances. I love getting fragrances. But with fragrances, I think my niche when it comes to fragrances is I love goodies but cheapies. I feel like I'm sticking it to the man by turning around and getting a fragrance that is in a lot of cases under 20 bucks for 100 mils or 3.4 ounces, and that just smells fantastic. When we go into department stores, we see these insane price tags. And again, I'm not saying I don't have expensive fragrances. Sometimes you just can't duplicate a fragrance for less than what, well, most of the time you can. But there's lots of fragrances out there like Nuit de l'Homme. I love it. It's one that it's more of an expensive one. Again, and guys, don't jump down my throat. It's not expensive. Fat Cat, this is not expensive, designer. Everybody thinks something's different. Everybody has a different idea of expensive. You guys know that I love fragrances that are inexpensive, watches that are affordable. I'm not a guy who would ever rationalize spending $5,000 on a watch, especially a Rolex. I'm not a guy who's ever going to say, oh yeah, you know, I spent $300 for that Creed Aventus. There's too many other fragrances out there that are a fraction of the cost. In some cases smell almost exactly the same if you're going for clones, or fragrances that are their own thing and super unique and super cheap. There's no excuse, no matter what your budget is. Everybody's, got different situations in their life. Some people have more money than others. There's no excuse. You can find great fragrances. A lot of times people in the past would be like, oh, well, if you go into a Kmart or you go into like one of your, cheap big box stores or your affordable big box stores, you have to go, when we think of cheap fragrances, we think of the ones that are more of like designer fragrances that are done like, that are like more of celebrity fragrances, Paris Hilton's, and I'm sorry to compare these two here. Nothing against Paris, but I'm just saying, like, when you think of like Tim McGraw and P. Diddy, those are kind of the fragrances that these celebrities try to kind of tap into the market by saying, hey, they have a name, we're going to go ahead and make a fragrance, and people might buy it because it's P. Diddy's fragrance, or Paris Hilton's fragrance. And really, a lot of times, when really those people don't really have, in most cases, have anything to do with the fragrance. And most companies anyway have a, perfume designer, a perfumist who's creating these things. So, and remember guys, that for most fragrances I've smelled, there's a fragrance that was 20 years ago or 30 years ago that was very similar. So I think, you can only reinvent the wheel so many times. And I think once you start to get into things that are very unique, I think, you're starting to get more towards the daring side. Again, it's just my opinion. I'm not trying to offend any other brands or tell you guys what to wear. I just love finding really inexpensive fragrances that just aren't, they just don't become mainstream. They just don't become, kind of like the go-to. Like when you think of, going into your big box stores, what are you going to find? You're going to find Yves Saint Laurent. You're going to find Armani. You're going to find those major brands, Calvin Klein's, that kind of stuff. And, there's nothing wrong with those. They're all great juices. But I like to find things that maybe you're not going to find in those stores and for a fraction of the cost. And this is one right here. Vera Wang for Man. And this is absolutely fantastic. I got this fragrance for under 20 bucks, 20 or 25 bucks, I forget. It is fantastic. So here is the bottle. Again, I always buy testers for the most part. They're cheap. I mean, I don't need the box. I don't need the presentation. If you're buying something as a gift, you probably want to buy, one with the box, not a tester. But for me, it only comes down to the juice. I do think that this is kind of a nice looking bottle. It's simple. It's clean. If you're a bottle guy, great. I think it's something that if you are going to keep something out near your sink, your bathroom, your closet. All mine are kind of tucked away in my cologne closet. If you keep this out, I think it does look classy. It's simple, right? So let's first talk about what I always like to bring up first off the bat when it comes to fragrances is I like to reference Fragrantica and just give you guys an idea of what other people have thought. And I use this tool as well when I make a purchase because I want to find out if it's something that smells like something I already have. If it's something that smells like Creed Aventus, I'm probably not going to buy it because I have my favorites already that are, again, not Creeds because you can get for 20 bucks. Amazing fragrances that smell almost identical. Like Red Alessence says, if you absolutely want the real deal, then absolutely buy the real deal. There's no sacrifice for the real one. But for me personally, I just feel like these things have been cloned and copied, reformulated, recreated, where really when you get a bottle of fragrance from a manufacturer, 2 years down the road, 3 years, they may still be making it, but it's probably not going to be exactly the same. So the batches are always different for the most part, and you know, I just feel like I'm not picky enough where I absolutely have to have it smell exactly perfect. Because let's face it, you know, your body chemistry changes depending on your diet, depending on what you're eating, what you're drinking, depending on your, you know, the time of day. You know, it's every fragrance smells a little bit different. Even on every body, but also on yourself, it can change. There's times where I wear a fragrance and I don't get a lot of these comparisons. I'll wear it the next day and say, man, you know what? I get why people said that kind of reminds them of this. And Fragrantica is a great tool for finding similarities between fragrances, discovering fragrances that maybe have notes that you like, so you can punch those in and find different fragrances. But ultimately, it's really going to come down to the person. And remember, when somebody says this reminds me of, remember, it reminds them of. It's not meant to smell like that. And I think a lot of people, I hear it all the time, they're like, oh, well, Fragrantica said this smells like this. Well, remember, reminds them. You got 58 people saying this, 36 people voting on this, that it smells like this. It doesn't mean it smells exactly like that. So now we start getting into maybe the 200, 300. Read what people say. Again, guys, always inform yourself before making a decision, if you're that picky about it, right? So let's talk about what Fragrantica does say about this. Let me just give you guys the note breakdown right off the bat, and take that with a grain of salt too, because I've seen Fragrantica be wrong when it comes to the note pyramid. I have Fascinable I just reviewed here. Note breakdown Fragrantica is wrong. So if somebody were just looked at the bottle, read off the notes, and put it in there correctly, it would be correct, but it's not. So take that with a grain of salt as well. Again, point, always just take it all, make the best educated decision. Take the best educated information, and you know, ultimately buy it, don't buy it. I mean, that's really why you're watching this video. That's why you're going to go to Fragrantica. That's why you're going to click my link in the description and maybe buy it. It's make the best decision. If you trust me on other things that I reviewed, and you like some of the things that I like, you might like this fragrance. So remember, I find that the cheapies, if you're going to compare something like this to a Creed Aventus, or to a Tom Ford, or to Zoologist fragrances, or this bad boy right here, Mason Francis Kirk John, hopefully I'm saying that right, Oud Sat Mood, this is a powerhouse. So some of these fragrances that are $300, yeah, one spray, it's going to last you weeks, right? In some cases, you can still smell it if it gets on your clothes. So remember, you're not going to get, it's not about the, I think the quality, it's just the potency, I think is a better way of wording it. So this is something you're going to have to reapply, right? Like a lot of fragrances that are 20 bucks. But they're fantastic, and you can still put it on, enjoy it, wear it, get a couple hours out of it, reapply. Remember, when these fragrances, they may not last you the entire day, but they're going to last you long enough. You know, I mean, it's not, for 20 bucks, you know, it's incredible, right? So, okay, so right off the bat, let's talk about a little bit about what they say. This is referred to as a seductive fragrance for men. I agree. Promoted by a campaign that features a wedding. It's specially created for men who are about to get married. I don't understand that line of bullshit, because I don't think there really is any fragrance that doesn't make any sense to me, that this would be a fragrance that was created for men who are going to get married. I just don't understand that. I mean, to remember, a lot of times when they create fragrances like this, they try to make stories about the fragrance, but nothing about this says to me, I can never make that correlation between, this being for this particular type of weather, this being for this occasion, office setting, all that to me is nonsense. Wear what you like, enjoy what you like, and if people don't like it, then that's their problem, not yours. So, but that is what it says. So, masculine with an unexpected freshness, it leaves a very seductive trace. I agree with that. There is something seductive about this fragrance. It says here, notes are overwhelming with a sparkling freshness of green leaves and luminous yuzu. I hope I'm saying that right. Again, butcher me in the comments. The nose behind this is IFF. I'm not sure who that is or what that is in relation to. I will just go ahead and click it real quick here. It's probably somebody's initials here. IFF is the company. IFF company. So take it for what it is. I don't know. Anyway, the base is composed of milky warm sandalwood and tobacco. It was launched in 2004 and comes in 50 mils or 100 mils. So in the note breakdown, you have yuzu in the top notes, which as far as the picture is concerned, and remember guys, I'm not an expert here. Take the information, watch it, enjoy it, make the best guess. Don't get it and be like, I don't smell this, fat cat. Remember, it's all about just informing yourself and making the best decision as a grown adult. So yuzu to me looks like it's like sort of a lemony kind of type of fruit, I assume. Honestly, before even getting this fragrance, I never heard of it. So yuzu in the top notes, and then you have mandarin leaf. Middle notes you have anise, leather, and nutmeg, 3 of my favorite ingredients. Base notes you have tobacco and sandalwood. So right when I first saw this, and I was looking through eBay and Amazon is what I normally do, and I try to find fragrances that are under 20 bucks for 3.4 mils that look interesting. So I tend to gravitate, so just so you guys know if you're new to watching me, I tend to gravitate more towards woody, more exotic, more daring fragrances. I'm not saying that is this, but I love tobacco, I love leather, I love oud, I love sandalwood, I love vanilla. I like the creamy, warm spices. I don't wear a lot of freshies. In the summer, I do when it's really hot. If I'm going to be maybe, because I will say you can wear fragrances any temperature, but I do get sometimes people say, this is more of a summertime fragrance. For instance, like one I do wear quite a bit in the summertime is Azzaro Chrome Legend. Another fragrance I wear quite a bit in the summer is Creta Ventus, perfect summer scent. You can wear it anytime you want, but just to give you guys an idea, Tommy Bahama, Set Sail St. Bart, coconut, lime, kind of fresh vacation vibe. Remember, it just depends on your mood and where you want to wear this stuff. There's no set rules. Just remember that, guys. Wherever you like, enjoy it. Be a trendsetter. You can do whatever you want to do. You don't need to listen to other people, okay? Because I never really have. So, all right. So when I smell those notes, when I think of leather, tobaccos, ouds, woods, those are kind of fragrances that really intrigue me. When I see freshies, Aqua de Jo's, great fragrance. I mean, when I see things like Banana Republics, not all of them, some of them are really great. Like Slate, it's more of a freshy, more of a fruity vibe. Fragrances like Cool Water, don't get me wrong, I love these fragrances as well. I still wear them, but I'm not as intrigued. These intrigue me. There's something sexy about them. 1 million, stuff like that, those kind of fragrances. So when I saw the notes, this definitely, and the price, remember I go through eBay or Amazon, find really good cheapies, then I look at the notes, see what other people have to say about them, and then make a decision. So again, a fragrance that doesn't really smell like anything else I have. As far as what the fragrances that this reminds people of, it's been compared to 5 different fragrances, and if you haven't checked out Fragrantica, they allow you to basically vote and say, hey, this reminds me of this. Remember, it reminds me of. There's plenty of times I've made the mistake as well where I buy a fragrance knowing that I like, hey, I love L'Anouit de l'Homme, and oh, this one, people say it smells like that. Remember, and I've been guilty of it, where I say, oh, they say it smells like that, it's going to smell like it, and you get it, and you're like, what? I don't get it. Remember, it reminds them of it. And sometimes that can only be one note. Sometimes that might just be leather, and they say, yeah, it does remind me of that. Remember, cologne collecting, fragrances, scent is all very subjective, and everybody kind of smells something different. And so sometimes you may smell something and be like, yep, that reminds me of this. Doesn't mean it smells just like that. So just use it as a tool, take it with a grain of salt. But 58 people did vote that this fragrance reminds them of Tom Ford for Men. Other people have said this reminds them, 36 people, of Dolce & Gabbana The One. 4 people, Dark Wood by Oriflame. And then, I don't know why these are listed, Orion, I'm not even going to try to say that, and one other one, Emporio Armani, Stronger With You, Intense by Giorgio Armani. They're listed, but it says 0, so I don't understand that, why even have them there. So, no votes, but they're listed, so that doesn't make any sense. But what does make sense is the fact that 36 people said it smells like Dolce & Gabbana The One. Now, that is a pretty affordable fragrance. You get that for under 40 bucks. But I didn't really want to spend 40 bucks. Remember, I like that cheapie. I like that under $20 price range. And I've smelled The One before. It's definitely one, no pun intended, that I definitely would like to add to my collection, but I wanted to try this first because, again, 36 people said it reminds them of The One. Now, I do get the similarities here, and I think what you're really getting here with those similarities, if we compare the notes really quick here with what Dolce & Gabbana The One has listed here, again on Fragrantica, is that they both share in their base notes tobacco. They also both share, oops, do they share that? Well, one shares coriander and Vera Wang shares anise. So remember, a lot of times these fragrances that sometimes it'll take, what I'm trying to say here is sometimes you'll smell something that says this is note A. And sometimes other fragrances can be produced and maybe add B and C, and that might resemble A. So remember, note for note, you don't always have to have something note for note to have it smell like something else. I think what a lot of people get from this is that tobacco note, which is somewhat strong in Dolce & Gabbana The One. You don't get the yuzu in Dolce & Gabbana The One, and I do smell that kind of lemony kind of vibe in this fragrance, but what you do have in the top notes of Dolce & Gabbana The One is grapefruit, and again you have yuzu in Vera Wang for Men. So I think that's where that top note, some people may draw the comparison. Remember, it doesn't have to be, remember, like a grapefruit, grapefruit kind of shares you know, a similar flavor to other fruits out there. Just like when we taste a lemon or a lime. There are different fruits out there that are very similar in flavor profile, in scent, to those different fragrances. So a lot of times citrus notes, you know, when we smell a lemon, a lime, sometimes there's other fruits that we'll smell and we'd be like, yeah, that smells citrusy, but maybe we're not actually, we can't really distinct between, is it a lemon or is it a lime? Maybe you can. You know, it's like smelling an apple. Is it apple or is it a red apple, green apple? An apple is kind of an apple. So again, depending on the sophistication of your nose and how you smell things and your training, you might get something different. You might be able to really pinpoint the differences in these notes. For me, I'm definitely a novice when it comes to the, I guess, the sophistication of my nose. So again, everybody's going to smell something different. But I think that's where sometimes there is a comparison. And again, sometimes notes overlap, and then that might mimic what you might get out of another fragrance or another note. So again, that is the comparison. Take it with a grain of salt. I don't think this smells like The One. I think there's a similarity with The One. And I think that if you've smelled The One, if you've gone into a big box store and you say, hey, you know what, that smells pretty good. I don't want you guys to say, hey, you know what, I can get Vera Wang for under 20 bucks. Let me go get that. It's going to replace The One. It's not. The One is different than Vera Wang for Men. But if you like The One, this is a great alternative. This is something that you can get really cheap, and you're probably you'll probably find that it's similar. Again, not the same. It's not meant to be a clone of a cologne, but I think if you like it, you'll like this. So absolutely fantastic. I love it. I've worn it for a few days. Downside, not really strong. These fragrances that are under 20 bucks, or I shouldn't use that as just shouldn't overgeneralize, but a lot of times fragrances that are under $20 and in that price range, really affordable. You know, sometimes they don't last as long as other fragrances. Now again, that's really hit or miss, and I don't want you guys to think that price determines that. It does not. I can tell you though that this one here, I'd give it maybe a 2 or 3 hour lifespan. I think it's definitely something you can, for the price, easily feel good about refreshing yourself often. And what I like about fragrances like this, I can really, you know, for a guy with a heavy trigger finger, you know, when I wear a fragrance, most of my fragrances, it's both sides of the neck. It's 2 on the back of the neck and around the shoulders here. I generally will go on both sides of the shoulder, wrists, inside of the elbow there, and then I'll blast myself across my chest and stomach. And then I'll throw on my clothes. And some fragrances I will actually spritz a little bit on the clothes. What I find is that fragrances tend to last longer on your clothing. Yeah, I might be wrong on that, but you know, that for me, I find if I want it to just last a little more, I will actually spray a little bit on my clothing. because I have so many fragrances, I tend to not do that just because I don't want, I may wear this shirt next week. I don't want the certain fragrances are stronger. I don't want it to smell like that same fragrance. I may want to wear something different. So that's the good thing about spraying your skin rather than your clothing. Everybody does different. I'm not telling you I'm right or you're wrong. I'm just telling you it's just something to think about. So great fragrance, so Vera Wang for men. It's fantastic, and I think that if you found this fragrance in a huge big box Macy's, if it was super mainstream and hyped, you'd find the price. Remember, it's like anything else. If it's super popular and people are snatching it up, they're going to raise the price. Supply and demand plays a huge role in everything, guys, whether you want to admit it or not. A lot of times when you pay more, it's like the old argument, oh, well, it's a Rolex, so that's why it costs so much more. It's all handmade. No, there is a demand, and that's why there is such a demand for that quality. How they got there doesn't really matter. They're there. And so that's why the price is so high. I'm not saying there isn't a quality difference, but not for what you're paying. Just like a Creed Aventus, or Creed or Tom Ford's, is there a difference between that and Vera Wang as far as projection, longevity? I'm sure there is, but is it warrant, $400 for a bottle of cologne? No, this is still great for 20 bucks. So just keep that in mind when you look at fragrances, when you shop for fragrances. Don't let price dictate whether or not it's good or bad, because they're all good. They're all good. Even $5 Yachtmans, even dollar store, Dollar Tree colognes, they just don't last very long. I mean, they're like maybe half hour, an hour. But if you're looking to wear something before bed, spray a little something on, you don't want it to be overbearing before bed, those are great alternatives to actually using the authentic fragrance. So again, time and a place, differences, differences for, lots of different fragrances out there. If you're if you're a sensitive person and maybe you don't want anything too heavy, you could always go less, but fragrances like this are always pretty safe. If you're a guy who doesn't really wear cologne, you're like, I don't want to be too overbearing, then fragrances like this are safe because you can spray 2 sprays on and it's not going to, it's not really going to project too hard. But still, this is a great fragrance. I don't want you guys to be turned off. If you're a guy who likes powerhouse fragrances, obviously this is not going to be a powerhouse fragrance. It smells good. It's definitely worth the price. It's definitely great quality. And Vera Wang is definitely a designer that I'll definitely return to try more of her fragrances in the not too distant future. So, these companies, they know what smells good. They know what works. Dolce & Gabbana is obviously a very popular fragrance. They can provide this for under 20 bucks and still sell it. Is it going to show up in your big box stores? I don't know. Where I live, I've never seen Vera Wang in any like Macy's or Bon Marché or Sephora, but I'm glad that I tried it because it's a fragrance that I like. It's a fragrance I continue to wear. And again, I love fragrances that are tobacco, woodsy, not that this is woodsy, but tobacco, spicy, especially the fall time of year. It's fantastic. So check it out, guys. Let me know what you guys think if you do get it. Link is in the description to pick this up for the best price. Again, guys, if you do get it, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm always curious to hear about that. So guys, thanks for watching. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel. Remember to subscribe to Fragrant Juice, my other YouTube channel specific to colognes. I will start to upload more of that in the near future. Subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You'll be in the know. And anyway, guys, have a wonderful day and take care.